Hey guys, welcome back to another video. So today we're going to be making Danny Choo's free tie front top. So let's get that pattern out and let's get started. So these are all the pattern pieces that will come, and yeah, so let's do it. So I chose a really simple white fabric, just some scraps that I still had laying around. Although this would look so cute in a really pretty flowery fabric or maybe some polka dots, so keep that in mind. So you want 4 of those pieces, 1, 2, 2, 1 of the collar and 1 of the front yoke. So yeah, I hope you got that. It is also written on the pattern, but just for your information. So we're going to be starting with these 2 pattern pieces, and yes, I will give that a bit of a press, but I figured I'd do it all at once. So yeah, I'm just going to be pinning that in place, making sure to line it up. You can pin it however you like. This is my method. I use lots of pins. I use way too many pins, quite honestly, but it's fine. Just make sure you don't sew over any pins. Pull them out ahead of time. Oh, that was me just checking my seam allowance. I always do that if I've got a pattern, just checking how wide my seam allowance is to be. So once I've sewn that, I am gonna go in with my serger just to make sure all like the raw edges are hidden nicely. So I took that to the iron and I made sure to press the seam upwards, just like that, just to make sure it lays nice and smooth and I can give that a really nice pretty top stitch on the top area. So yeah, the top stitch is just going beside the sewn edge, because it also actually shows on this pattern piece, so that is what I'm going to be doing. Just a normal regular straight stitch. I'm lining up my foot as best as possible to keep it as straight. You can also use a special foot if you'd like. I do have that, but this was really nice and easy as well. And this is what it's looking like so far. So let's continue with some of the front panels. Okay, so it looks a bit weird, but this is correct. We're gonna go out towards the side. Line those up and get it all in there. And once that's pinned in place and lined up, we're going to be sewing that and overlocking those edges as well. So once you've done that, you want to iron the seams towards the back there, so the shoulders want to be back, and we're going to do another set of top stitching. So continuing on with the sleeves next, we're going to do the little bit of like ruching on the sides there. So you can do this 2 ways. So the first step here is just marking what the front is, by the way. So I'm just putting pins in where the little pleats are marked, so 3 pins on each end there, and I'm going to be folding them in to create a pleat. So the idea is that you fold the 2 outer pins of the bottom 3 or the top 3, so you have a set of 3, okay? So you fold the 2 outer pins and have that little center pin in the middle, and that is your tiny pleat. This is how I interpreted the pattern instructions. The other way you could do this, which I debated on doing, is just sewing a little gathering stitch and then pulling them together. So rather than creating a pleat in there, it's just a little gather, which would look really cute as well. So if I make this again, I do want to try the little gather. So yeah, I am repeating this on the other side, just making sure it is nice and even. There you go, this is what it looks like. And we're doing that on the other sleeve as well. So I've just finished basting all of that in place. Just a little narrow basting stitch that does not show when sewing into the seam allowance. So yeah, this is what this is looking like. I'm pretty happy with it. It looks pretty cute. To hem the sleeves, it is just a little double fold like this. You can use your pattern to make sure you have the right width if that's something you'd like to do, but it's just a nice narrow fold like this. And I am going to take it to the iron just to make sure it's a nice and flat crease. Here you go, this is what I have done. It's just a nice double fold, as you can see with the iron. Just do keep in mind what your front and back is, because both my little pins that should be on the front are facing left, when one should be facing left and the other towards the right. So you'll see that in just a moment that I've done that. And that little fold we are going to be top stitching in place, but not quite yet. We'll do that in just a moment's time. So yeah, grabbing the front and back pieces that we started with, you can see here that I finally realized I did that on the wrong side. Don't worry, I did end up going back there and changing my little hem line that I hadn't sewn yet, so thank God I hadn't sewn that yet. And I'm just using some pins to mark where my center is from the pattern, because as you can see, normally I would go from the shoulder seam, but we don't really have that shoulder seam in this pattern. So yeah, we're going to be lining all of this up. It is a small curves, it is small, like a normal sleeve is hard enough, but this is even smaller. So take your time with this, use lots of pins, as many as you need. I like my pins, if you didn't know already. So yeah, definitely just do what you are comfortable with, and if it works, go all the way around from one end to the other end. And if you're struggling, what can be a nice and easy trick is going from the center towards one end and then towards the other end. And as you can see, I did end up clipping into the curve a little bit because my sleeve just wasn't fitting in there. So to ease it in there, to make sure the curve works a bit nicer, don't be afraid to clip into the seam allowance. Just make sure not to clip too far, as you do still need to sew it. And once you finish sewing that, this is what it should look like. And just as one final touch, I'm going to be doing some top stitching for the sleeve. This is not as fun as some of the other steps, I would say, but it's definitely worth it as it looks so beautiful once it's done. And with all the top stitching we're doing in this project, it really finishes it off, so I recommend it. This is what it looks like, and yeah, I'm pretty happy. So just repeat that on both sides, and this is what you should have. And yeah, I did still have to fix that sleeve problem. So that's what I'm doing right now. I'm just folding it the other way. I am just spinning that in place, and I will take that to the iron in a moment's time. And actually it was this point that I was debating whether or not I wanted to do a top stitching or just leave it like it was a folded up cuff and just, you know, sew the rest and let it sit however it wants to sit. And that is actually what I decided to go with. I just wanted to have it a little bit different and keep it like casual look. So yeah, it's up to you if you want to top stitch it or not. This was just my choice in the end. So basically I'm just folding this in half with the, as you can see, all the seams lined up. I've pinned those in place, and now I'm just gonna go around and sew into those side seams. And once I've done that, this is what it looks like. Hallelujah, it's starting to look like a top. Now don't forget to clip all your little threads. So up next is attaching the little tie. So yeah, it's a bit weird having 4 pieces. Initially I was a bit confused, but I quickly figured it out. Of course you need like a lining piece. Yeah, how could I forget about a lining? I know, the horror. Okay, sorry. Back to the tutorial, or at least instructions. I have just lined that up. The little curve is facing out. That is the tie there. And I've just attached that, as you can see. So this is how I was trying to figure out what it should look like. The little bottom tie thing is facing down and the narrow bit is attached. So I've gone ahead and sewn that just to see how it would look. And now I'm going to place the other pieces right on top with the right sides together, because we're going to be flipping this inside out. So lining this up again, making sure all the edges are nice and even. And yeah, just use the pins. I mean, how many times should I be saying that? Use your pins. Okay, so now that we've got this little point, I'm going to repeat the pinning process on the other side, and then we're going to be sewing all the way around except for the little end there. So leaving the, so there you go, going all the way around, but leaving the top by the armhole open. So here you can see, this is me trying to show you. We're going to be sewing down the length there, end around, but leaving the other end unsewn. So this is what it should look like. So I've also gone ahead and done my best to overlock it. I'm just clipping into the curve there. Clip, clip, clip. I love my scissors. And the other one too. Also go nice and slow on sewing this, because there's actually quite a bit of curving that you need to do. Okay, so here you can see I left the gap there at the back. I'm just going to be turning this inside out. Just grab an object to help you. I'm using way too sharp of scissors. Like a pencil would have worked a bit better, but I didn't want to get any graphite on my fabric. So yeah, maybe like a blunt pencil could work. Or if you've got like a nice pokey thingy, that works really well. Anyway, this is what we're looking like. It's going to be folded in like that. And we're just going to give that a really good press with the iron, because we like the iron for little projects like this. Do we like it where we need to iron our own clothing? No, but do we like it when we're sewing? Sometimes. Anyway, so I've just folded that towards the inside, and now we're going to be doing a top stitch to get that in place and all the way around the tie, because that just gives it a really nice finishing. I like top stitching. I really like it, especially in a project like this. It gives it such a beautiful finish. It's probably one of my favorite things. Like, I hate hemming, but I like top stitching. The logic is not there. It's not. Anyway, sorry, enough rambling about me. And this is what it ended up looking like once I finished top stitching all the way around. So I'm just doing my best to show you. This is what it actually ends up looking like, and the inside as well. And the next step is doing the hem on the bottom there. Just a narrow fold in. I've gone ahead and gone in with the iron once more, just to get the little edge to stay up where I want it to be. And now I'm just gonna go in from the bottom of the strap, and just where I finished basically, and I'm gonna go in and hem the bottom of the little top. Let's continue with the collar. Since the fabric I'm using is really thin, I am going to add some fusible interfacing, which I removed the seam allowance from and iron that into the collar. This is just going to help me get the collar a little bit stiffer, so it will stand up a bit nicer. If your fabric is a bit sturdier or thicker cotton, you may not need to do this on this scale, so keep that in mind. But mine is really floppy, thin fabric, so yeah, I did end up doing that. We're just folding that collar in half, pinning that in place, and we're gonna do some sewing. So yay! Now don't forget to leave a gap, so we're just sewing the two sides there, and we're leaving the gap in the middle nice and big, and we're gonna clip into those corners there so we can have nice sharp corners. Now keep in mind, this collar is still inside out because we are going to do one last step. But before I get to that, I did decide to mark halfway from my little top piece just by folding it in half and sticking a pin in there. So I've got exactly half. Now back to the collar, we're actually going to be folding up the seam allowance on one side only. And we're going to press that so it stays. Okay, so this is what it looks like. And now we get to turn it inside out. And hallelujah, I guess it. You get to press it again, because you know it doesn't like to stay a certain way once you've turned it inside out again. So yeah, use whatever tool you need to get those corners out. You do want a nice green crisp corner because it just makes it look so much better. And once you've got it inside out and laying as smoothly as you can, we haven't taken this to the iron yet. Don't really know why, probably should have, but it's okay. And I'm just folding it in half just like we did to the top and stuffing a pin into the seam allowance, not lower, okay? Like not the folded over piece. And now we just get to line up our pins and pin it all in place, starting from the middle, working to each side. So first the left then the right, or first the right then the left, whatever you want to do. Take that to the sewing machine, and this is what we're looking like. Again, I'm finding so many threads, by the way. So this is what we're looking like, and it's looking pretty cute, and I like it. But it's also looking pretty crazy. So yeah, I'm also just checking if there's any puckers. If there are, just take that, unpin it, and re-sew that little bit. But if you're happy, you get to take your scissors, or clippers in my case, and cut those little corners off. Yep, you just want to cut them off. This just allows us to flip over the collar and get it actually sewn in place as nicely as possible without any of those little threads sticking out. And this is what we're doing. So folding that over on the top there, making sure the seam allowance is nicely folded up, just like that. And this is why we had to iron it first, so we don't have to struggle with folding it in now. And just stick your pins in there. There's a few layers in there, so be careful. And now we're on the final stretch on our home run. It's just getting a little crease in there with the iron, just like that, so it lays nice and smooth. And that is our top done. So let's give it a quick try on. And I did take her little hands off just to get the sleeves over. I hope you enjoyed the video, and if you did, don't forget to like and subscribe. It really helps my channel out. Leave a comment down below on any ideas or questions you may have, and I will happily answer those. And I will see you all next time. Bye!